Another wonderful day to take care of our gift of our bodies. Let's start on our backs. And you would definitely want something maybe small under your head, especially if your ribs tend to thrust up or your head tends to lean back. And if you tend to still have a lot of rib thrust, which takes quite a while to relax down, you may even want something underneath the very tops of your shoulder blades and something a little bit higher underneath your head. But that being said, come on down to your back. And we'll start with the soles of our feet together and our knees open out to the side. So if you want to put a couple blocks or a couple rolled up towels underneath your thighs, just to give yourself a little bit of a different height than you usually are when your legs are just dropping over open with gravity, that would be great. And then just take a few breaths here. Soles of the feet gently pressed together, but you're trying to relax up your legs. Check your pelvis. It's easy in this position. Like right now, I have a tucked under pelvis. My waist is completely flat and it's very subtle, but my pubic bone is just a little bit higher than my ASIS bones. So I'm going to pick my hips up and shift my buttocks so that my pubic bone comes down and I have this little bit of waist lift. Tuning into your breath, feeling your inhales and your exhales, becoming present with your body. If there is a purpose that you would like to set, a seed that you would like to plant for your well-being, for your life, what do you want to focus on? What do you want to accomplish? And when we plant these seeds, we plant them without any pressure on ourselves at all. So it could be a seed that we plant for a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, years from now, you know? Maybe you just always want it to start a garden and it just keeps not happening. Well, the first thing to do is keep planting the seeds. Keep reminding yourself without any judgment that you're not getting it done. Just keep reminding yourself, oh, I'm planting a seed for my garden. So like that, we plant seeds, and with time, with the right conditions, the law of nature is that they will grow, but you have to plant the seeds first. And then let your breath come back into your awareness. And gosh, it just feels so good to lay here. I just want to keep laying here, but let's start moving. Reach your arms out to your sides with your palms face the ceiling. Feel a soft little bend in your elbows and just move your arms up and down very freely, hovering over the floor. Angel arms. Watch the ribs. As the higher you go, the more chance that the ribs will want to lift up. Keep the ribs relaxing down. And keep in mind, the purpose is not to hold ourselves in alignment, but over time more naturally come into alignment. And that's why bolsters and tools are so handy, because they help us come into alignment with more ease. And that's what we want. We want our body to get used to coming into alignment with ease. And breathing here. Open up through the palms of your hands, open up through your fingers a little bit. Feel your upper back and your chest muscles spread open. All right, and then let's bring our hands into the air, low chest height, and you can work anywhere from a little higher chest to a little bit lower chest. Pinky fingers together, palms face behind you, thumbs stick out to the side, and you're tapping your thumbs to the floor. But as you come down, you're trying to keep this rotation of like your elbows rotating forward and your thumbs down with your palms facing behind you. And then bring your pinky fingers back together. So as the arms get lower and lower, there's more chance for them to turn. So you're trying to rotate and keep the palms facing behind you. Work on the rotation as you open your arms. Check in with your feet together, your thighs relaxing open. Did your tailbone tuck under and your waist flatten? Retilt your pelvis. All right, and then from there, pause. You're going to maybe take out your bolsters, or definitely take out your bolsters, and stretch your legs wide, but split them into a wide V. So wiggle them apart from each other. It doesn't matter today what rotation you're in, tailbone's tilting down, but you're just getting your legs open into a bigger V shape and getting a little pull on your inner thighs here. And then bring your arms back up into the air, turning your palms to face behind you. And again, we're going to work on that rotation, but this time you're going to hold your arms open to your sides in that rotation. Put a micro bend in your elbows and do those same angel arms, but working from that rotation with your elbows rotating forward and your thumbs rotating down. Unless it's uncomfortable for your shoulders, then of course go back to palms flat up towards the ceiling. And breathing here. Reaching out through your upper back and chest muscles. Thighs open nice and wide. And don't hesitate to go a little slower. Sometimes you can feel different muscles, different muscle tension. As you go a little slower, you can focus in on your upper back. You can focus in on your chest muscles and where your chest muscles connect to your breastbone. But take your time here. Relax any clenching in your buttocks muscles, in your thigh muscles. And if you find particular angles of tension, you can kind of just hold there and feel like you're reaching out through your upper arms, through your chest muscles. And you can keep moving. I just found a particular spot that it feels good to stay there for a moment. And one of the greater purposes of angel arms is to get into the chest and the lower back muscles, so you don't have to go all the way down by your sides. You can, but you're working from just a little bit lower than your chest and back up without the ribs coming up. Keep letting your breath flow. Maybe even take a couple rib breaths here. And then let your arms relax. Notice your legs. How much did the tension pull them closer together? Just be aware of that. And then wherever you have a strap, grab that strap. With your knees bent, your ankles hip distance apart, and the outer edges of your feet straight, you'll cross your right ankle over your left knee, but we're going to do 3 different variations. So you can even start out by wrapping the strap around the back of your left thigh. Those 3 variations, I'll show you on the other leg. Those 3 variations are, you're going to cross your ankle over at one point, very high up on your knee. So like maybe even towards the very top of your knee. The second variation is you're going to slide it down, which is what we're more accustomed to, crossing the ankle right, at the top of the thigh with the knee. And then the third variation is you're going to see how far down you can slide your ankle on your thigh. And just work within ranges of motion that feel comfortable for you and okay for your body. But so strap around the back of the left thigh, ankle starts up really high, flexed right ankle, center your hips. So notice if you're rocking to one side or the other, and you're pulling your thighs in and tapping your foot down, or you can just work on your heel, but you're working within your hip muscles more than loading your spine. So loading your spine looks like this. See how the buttocks lifts up? We're not working there. We're trying to just move the thighs without much motion in the spine. And then next time you lift your foot up, try to extend that leg any amount, reach long, bend the knee, and then slide the foot down to maybe more our classic number 4 stretch where the ankle is just a little bit below the knee, still flexed, and we lift and lower there. And I'll catch myself, even just on that one, I caught myself rotating from my spine instead of moving more at my thighs. When you move at your thighs, you're moving more at your hip muscles. And the range of motion might be small. That's why it gets tricky, because it feels like you're not doing as much. But you're actually doing more for your hips. Okay, and then next time you lift up, try to stretch that leg, the bottom leg long, and bend the knee. And now slide that foot down anywhere lower on your thigh. And again, lift and lower here. And it's probably going to get smaller and smaller. And with this one, it's like it really wants to pull my buttocks up. So I've got to create the resistance of pushing my tailbone down as my thighs come in. And then hold and extend that leg any amount. Reach long, flex the ankle, and bend the knee, and uncross, and let's switch sides. So we'll start high up, strap behind the back of the right thigh. Flex the ankle, maybe the top of the knee or right at the very top, and then keeping the tailbone going one way as your thighs come in towards you. And so all we can do is practice. That's the only way we can get better. But when you do this, if you notice that it's like your body just really wants to lift your hips up and your thighs don't move much without that motion, that's just a clear indication that a lot of the time when you're moving around in your life, that you're using your spinal muscles more than your hip muscles in a lot of motions. And that's a little bit too much wear and tear on the spine and not enough load to the hips. Okay, next time that foot comes up, stretch that leg up, reach up long through the inner thigh, through the outer thigh, through the back of the thigh. Bend the knee, slide the ankle down just a little bit, flexing the left ankle, center your spine, and lift and lower. All right, next time the foot lifts up, extend that leg, reach up, bend the knee, slide the foot down the thigh any amount, tailbone going one way as thighs come in the other way. Flex your left ankle. Breathing. Let the breath flow, not holding the breath. All right, next time your foot comes up, extend that leg, reach it long, and bend the knee, and then unwind your ankles, release your strap. Okay, we're going to do log raises overhead with our hands holding onto something. An extra mat rolled up works great. Anything you have that has a little bit of weight to it that you feel comfortable works great. I just happen to have my blocks here today, so I'm going to use 2 blocks and my hands stacked. I've never done it with 2 blocks before, so I might go to 1 block, but you're going to stretch your legs straight, and whatever you're holding on to it between the palms of your hands without really using your fingers. But if you have a rolled up mat, which is excellent to use too, especially if it has a little weight to it, you can hold on to it with your palms face up, and you're just like lightly cupping with your fingers, but the palms are in the air and they're facing behind you, which you can't hold on to it quite the same way if you're working with something a little bit smaller. So holding on, think of several things. One is ribs relax down, tailbone untucks, of course, and then you're watching, do your ribs come up or do your elbows pop out? And it's at that point where you try to stop and go a little slower. So elbows hug in, press the palms or holding on to whatever you're holding on to, and take your arms overhead. And come back up. And stop, like as you're going overhead, if you get to a point where your elbows pop out even a tiny bit or your ribs lift up a tiny bit, stop there and work in that range of motion. And sometimes it is really helpful to have something a little bit heavier. Like I have a rolled up mat that is deceivingly heavy. You want to start out with light if you've never done this before and work on the alignment. But then over time, when you use something a little heavier, it will get your core muscles to work a little bit more. So you could even use anything that you could hold on to. The one thing I can think of is my mentor used to do this using pumpkins. But you want to be careful. You want to make sure you're not going to drop it on yourself. So it has to be a weight that you feel very comfortable with. Hug those elbows in. And one thing you can notice if you're going all the way over and touching the ground, like does one side touch down sooner than the other? So I have more range of motion in one shoulder than the other. Really focusing on the ribs, both the right and left side. And let's do one or two more of these. All right, from there you can place whatever you were using down by your side and then come over onto your side. And from your side, you can create a pillow with anything, your arm, a block, or you can lean up on your elbow like I am at first. And we're going to kind of stick with this theme we've been doing the last few weeks of leg lifts, and we'll do this probably another week as well. So we're flexing our ankles, we're watching, do our hips, most commonly the hips tend to roll back. So if anything, you want your top hip to be forward, so when you use your hand on the floor, it's okay if you lean forward a little bit. You don't want to lean forward excessively, but you can lean forward a little bit. Flex your ankles, and you're lifting slowly, because the faster you go, the more momentum, the less muscle, and lowering down. Now, if you want to get this more in your hips, it's the same thing here, especially if you have wider hips, the waist just comes down to the floor. Can you lift your waist up a little bit? So it takes some core work to lift that bottom waist up and keep it lifted, and lift and lower. And when your waist stays up, your leg might not quite go as high, but you're working with your pelvis in neutral. And breathing. And reach out through the inner and outer thigh and lower down. And reach out through the inner and outer thigh and lower down. How about bringing that leg slightly back? A little bit goes a long way. Maybe the waist stays lifted, and lift and lower. And reach out through the upper thigh muscles. Going a little bit slower. Reach out. Reach out. Okay, bring the leg slightly in front of the bottom leg and reach out. Check in with your bottom waist if you're working on that. Okay, and then lay yourself all the way down. So you have a pillow or your arm comes down and you're reaching your top arm up and overhead. Now you have multiple options here. Option one is to walk if you're here and your hand reaches the floor and it feels like no problem, stick with that. But option two is to take a block at any height. So I'm going to do the second highest height and have your hand rest on the block overhead. And just breathing here, check your hips rolling forward or back. Wiggle through the fingers, and then either with your fingers on the floor or your fingers on a block, walk that block forward or walk your fingers along the floor so they go a little bit forward. And you just slightly change the angle and you're trying to lengthen your arm a little bit more. And then how about bringing the block back overhead where it was and maybe taking it a tiny bit behind. It's not going to go very far. Now, as your arm goes back, do your ribs push forward? Back your ribs up. Wiggle your arm a little bit longer. Breathe into the sides of your ribs. And then you can bring that arm down in front of you. So you're going to lift your top leg up. And we're going to do 3 different heights. We're going to do leg like right over the bottom leg. A little bit higher, neutral, ankle in line with our top ASIS bone, and a tiny bit higher than that. So let's start with the low option, just right over the leg. And bend your heel in towards your buttocks and straighten. Go nice and slow for the first ones. I felt a little crampy there in my inner thighs for a second. Bend the heel in towards the buttocks, the leg is low, and straighten. And bend the heel in and straighten. Bend the heel in and straighten. Now lift the leg up, and if your leg's used to dropping down, you're going to have to really hold it so it's in line with that top hip. Bend the heel in and extend long. Bend and extend. 2 more like that. Okay, let's lift the leg a tiny bit higher. A little bit goes a long way. Bend, the knee points slightly up in the air, and extend. Bend and extend. Bend. Can you go a little slower? And extend. So anytime, so for instance, when I was doing this, as I was bending, my leg was kind of flopping into a bend. That's a clear indication that the muscle's not participating. So you want to try to go a little slower, not only as you extend, but as you bend the leg. And then just extend that leg and lower down. Press yourself up and either turn around or come around to the other side. Bring any pillows that you may or may not need. You can rest all the way down. You can come onto your elbow, stacking your legs in one straight line, watching the tendency for the hips to roll back, flexing the ankles, reach long through that top leg like you're trying to reach it longer than your bottom leg. And that's another helpful thing. So not only lifting the waist, the more you reach through the top leg, it will pull your bottom waist off the floor eventually. So reach through the top leg as you lift and lower. I gotta lean forward a little more. Lift and lower. And yeah, reaching through that top leg is really helpful. Lift and lower. And lift and lower. Maybe checking in with your waist. Leg goes back a tiny bit. And lift and lower. Sometimes it's very interesting that you can feel like a definite difference between one leg and the other leg. All right, leg goes in front a tiny bit. Check on that waist. And it's just the waist lifting up. It's not the whole rib cage. So you're not trying to hold your whole rib cage up. It's just subtle, right where the belly button is, right where you naturally have a curve there if you're not collapsing down into it. All right, from there, lay yourself all the way down. Reach your top arm overhead, either to the floor or to a block underneath your hand. You can work any height. You can do different than the first side. You can put the block on the lowest height, the medium height. And naturally, when you're here, like when your arm's overhead, you probably want to start with it a little bit in front. So you're not pulling your shoulder blade back. Wiggle those fingers. Breathing. If it ever feels uncomfortable to lay on the side of your body, put towels under your hips. Okay, how about walking that arm a little bit forward? A little bit goes a long way. Walking that finger a little bit more forward. Can you get a little bit more length? Breathing. All right, how about coming back to where you were and a little bit behind? A little bit goes a long way, and wiggle those fingers. Check in with where your hips are. All right, and then bring that hand down. You can create a pillow. You can use your hand in front of you. You can use your arm as a pillow. And then from there, we're going to do 3 heights. And we're going to start with the leg barely above the bottom leg. Bend nice and slowly, heel in towards the buttocks, thigh bone pulls back, and straighten. And bend. 2 more like that. Thigh bone pulls back. All right, lift the leg up so it's in line with your top ASIS bones. Keep that lift as you bend and pull back and straighten. And try to keep it steady. So as I bend, my knee wants to go up higher. Just be aware if that's happening in your body as well. No pressure in the knee. If you're feeling any discomfort, don't bend the heel in towards the buttocks so much. All right, take the leg a little bit higher and bend. This time the knee is pointing up. And straighten. And then lower that leg down, use your hand, press yourself up, come onto all fours, your hands and knees. We'll go right into some rhomboid push-ups. So setting up your ankles and your knees hip distance apart. You can work on the top of the feet or with your toes tucked under. Just keep them active. Spread your thumbs out towards each other, wrapping your elbow pits forward. You're working with a neutral pelvis when you're on all fours. That means your tailbone's in the air. Your spine is going down with gravity, and breastbone and armpits lift up. Press equally through the palms of the hands. Kind of start working on seeing, can you spread your fingers more equally, like they're just in line with your knuckles? Because let's say 2 of your fingers are always together and some of your fingers always spread. The thumbs are a big deal, so keep working on that. Keep spreading your thumbs away from your middle fingers. And over time, you'll get just a little bit more length there, but that thumb position will help you when it comes to using your chest muscles. Watching the ability to push your elbows in front of your wrist, back your elbows up. Did you forget about your feet staying slightly active? Now, of course, if you're new to this, don't worry about your feet. Just keep working on what you're doing with your upper body. And it's okay to pause. Sometimes you get into a little rhythm, but sometimes you feel. What does it feel like in the top of the rhomboid push-up? What does it feel like in the bottom of the rhomboid push-up? What does it feel like in the middle of the rhomboid push-up? All right, come on up to your knees. Step your right foot forward into a low lunge, neutral pelvis, just going so far that your pelvis doesn't really tip. Maybe how about activating your back toes here, tucking them under. Arms by your side, a little bit forward of your shoulders, rotate all the way one way, all the way the other way. Bring your arms a little bit higher. Rotate, rotate, trying to go as far as you can in the other direction. Arms a little bit higher. The highest we're going to go is shoulder height, so just keep that in mind. Rotate, and a little bit higher. Rotate, and rotate. Switch legs. Step your right leg back, step your left foot forward, ankle slightly in front of the knee, feet straight, maybe working with that active back foot. Oops, ankle right behind the knee instead of to one side. And then from there, maybe the pelvis goes forward in vertical. Rotate and rotate all the way the other way. Rotate and rotate. A little higher. Rotate, other way, and a little bit lower than your shoulders or in line with your shoulders. Rotate your upper arm bones all the way one way. Rotate your upper arm bones all the way the other way. Now go back to internal rotation. Maybe you can feel how when you're in internal rotation, your shoulders go up by your ears a little bit more. It activates more of your neck muscles. When you rotate the other way, your shoulder blades naturally drop down your back. That's one of the reasons we work in this neutral alignment more often of rotating our elbow pits forward. with your front ankle under your knee, your back toes tucked under, push down to step up. Grab whatever you're going to use for a calf stretch. And if you're newer to calf stretch and top of the foot stretch, then you might just want to choose one or the other today. But otherwise, we're going to put the ball of our right foot up, our heel down, push down, pelvic list a little bit on that standing leg, and then do a calf stretch with a top of the foot stretch. Does your ankle roll to one side or the other? Now, sometimes it's nice to have our ankle rolling to one side or the other, but we want to make sure that we get comfortable and neutral first. Now, if your top of the foot is really tight at first, you might have to roll to one side to release so that you don't have any pain, but over time you're trying to come back to neutral. And breathing. Okay, how about your heels grounded, the ball of your foot is up. How about trying to slide that back leg forward so maybe you're more on your toes or you're tucking your foot under, your front knee bends a little bit. And then it also, of course, changes the calf stretch because your side leg is forward a little bit more. Is your standing leg hip popping out to the side? Hug it in, stack your joints. All right, and then release. Let's switch feet. Ball of the foot up, heel down, outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. I know you hear me say that a million times over and over again, but those are our foundations. So don't take it for granted that your foot is straight because all of a sudden you could be working with a crooked foot all the time and then your whole foundation is off. Everything else you're working on in the body is off. So keep coming back to the foundation. It takes a lot of hours to change that habit. And as the shape of your muscles and your body changes, what your outer edge of your foot being straight like might change. So especially as you work your feet muscles, the shape of your feet slightly change, and then what is straight might change. So that's why you're looking at the outer edge of the foot. You're looking at the bones, the outer pinky toe bone, the outer ankle bone. And for more specific instructions, remember you can always go and review at the alignment skills under the community menu. Okay, how about pushing down and sliding that foot forward, still doing a top of the foot stretch. So the knee is bending, is that standing leg hip popping out, press down, pelvic list on that side. Whew, this top of the foot stretch is a little tighter for me with this front knee bend. What are your ribs doing? Are they lifting up still? Ribs relax down. Ears slide back over the shoulders. All right, release top of the foot, release that stretch. You are now at the top of your mat with a strap in hand. And the first thing we're going to pay attention to with our strap behind our back is we're going to pay attention to our wrists. Do your wrists want to bend one way, bend the other way, twist one way, twist the other way? Can you try to keep your wrists steady, straight up and down? And I'm definitely not perfect at this by far, so if you notice my wrists twisting, that's not what you want them to do. Put a little bend in your elbows. The tighter your shoulders are, the wider your hands on the strap, but no matter where your hands are, start about hip distance apart if you feel like your shoulders aren't super tight. No matter where your hands are, the strap is taut. It's not hanging down between your two hands. And then hinge forward from your hips, pushing your hips back, and try to keep your wrists steady as you lift your arms off your back. So notice, do they want to turn one way or the other? Don't lift quite so high. Breathing. Maybe you can even look back and look at your wrist. It's great if you're doing this with a mirror. Does one elbow bend and the other doesn't? That's kind of what we're working on next, but I just noticed that in my own body. Keep rotating your pelvis, pushing your thigh bones back. And then from there, release the strap, sit back into a chair pose. And from your chair pose, you're going to check what's going on with your legs. Like when we sit back in a chair pose, does our knee want to go forward? Does our thigh want to collapse in? And you want to pay attention when you're on one leg. So try to go slow if possible. The less you've worked on alignment, the harder it is going to be to go slow, but you're keeping your knee back, your thigh open, as you step your right leg back into a lunge. And then you're pushing off the ball and the toes of that back foot to step back up. But the whole time you're watching, what is that leg doing? Switch, outer edge of the foot straight, getting your thigh into alignment and noticing what happens when you slowly step back to one leg. Does your thigh drop in a lot? Does your knee go forward? We're not going for perfection, but you're looking, how can I slightly adjust myself so I stay closer to neutral alignment and I'm using the muscles around the joints more equally. Let's do one more each side. Watch also as you step up, what happens? Feet straight, ankles hip distance. If you kind of rotate your thigh bone into neutral, it helps. And step back. I notice my thigh definitely wants to go in a little bit on that side. And step up. And foot straight, very important to start. Lean into that leg a little bit, hug the hip in, step back, and step up, and then fold over your legs, relax the crown of your head down. Maybe a block in front of you is helpful. Keep your right foot forward, step your left leg back. This just allows you to flatten your palms and use your palms. So it is very common that as people bend the knee, back knee, and lift, that the front leg moves, and it's very subtle, but you can see my front leg going forward and back. What I'd like you to try to do is line up your front knee right over your ankle, and as you lift and straighten your back leg, don't let that knee move back at all. And it's going to make you use more of your back hip muscles, whereas when you very subtly move back, you don't have to use so many of the back leg and hip muscles. So keep the knee bent right over the ankle, and just see how much can you straighten that back leg, keeping the knee steady. And tap. Watch the front leg as you lengthen the back leg. And tap. And lift. And lengthen a little bit more or a little bit less, since you're not allowed to pull that knee back. And then from there, walk halfway around to the left. Parallel your feet. Back your weight up into your heels, come up to stand, open your arms, palms up, hands a little bit lower than your chest, bend into your right knee, sit your hips back, over to the left, really going back with the hips. One leg straightens all the way, and sit back to the right, and sit back to the left. Sit back to the right, and sit back to the left. And sit back to the right, pressing through the balls of the feet without gripping the toes. Sit back to the left. Come back to center, come up to stand. Turn your right toes out, edge of the foot very straight. As you bend into the knee, notice, does that thigh want to steer in? But remember, the thigh steering open is not accurate unless the outer edge of the foot is straight. And as you straighten, same thing. Rotate your thigh bone more into neutral. Bend into the knee. Press long through your back leg. Don't forget about this leg. And straighten very slowly. Bend into the knee. Once you've really mastered the thigh staying open, pay attention if that pulls the ankle open, and you can work it both at the same time. Or if the ankle collapses in. Okay, next time you bend, go up into a reverse warrior, but don't forget about that back leg. And how about from here, flipping your wrists. Turn your wrist down and back the other way. Lengthen through the arm. Flip the wrist down and back as you reach. Flip down and reach. Flip back and reach. Flip down and reach. Flip back and reach. And then pull your body up. Straighten your front leg. Good opportunity to work on feet straight, maybe neutral thigh bones, maybe relaxing your kneecaps as you hinge over into a triangle pose. Only go so far that your torso doesn't start to go forward and your buttocks back. And then this is our end range of motion, like with our hands in line with our shoulders. We're gonna start back a little bit with our arms. Rotate your arm bones. And rotate your arm bones a little bit higher. Rotate and rotate, and then go up to that shoulder height. Rotate and rotate. And now bend into your knee slowly with your top arm in the air. You can rest your hand or your elbow. Try not to sink in, lift out. So you're using the support of your legs. Turn your palm to face forward and go over and up and over and up. Rotate your palm to face towards the crown of your head from your upper arm. Turn your belly button towards the ceiling a little bit. Press long through your back leg as you go over and up, over and up. And then one more time, go over. Check. Are you clenching your toes? Can you reach down through your heels a little more? Rotate that arm bone as you reach it overhead. And then pull your torso up and parallel your feet. And then from here, we'll sit back into a squat. Inner thighs open, hips back up, arms out to your side, cactus arms, elbows a little bit forward. And then from here, you're going to extend and bend, trying to tap your fingers in all the way to your shoulders. One open, extend all the way, bend, and tap your fingers in. Cactus arms, extend, cactus arms, and bend. Cactus arms. What's going on with my body here? It's a little bit crooked, I can see in the finder. Extend, cactus arms, bend, and extend all the way out. Push your hips back, rotate your pelvis, hinge all the way forward, walk around to your right foot, back at the front of the mat. Put your left knee down, slide your right leg back to meet you, and then from there, spread your thumbs out. So now we're going to work on rhomboid push-ups. If you're new to this, the first thing you play with is just your spine going up and down, keeping your pelvis in neutral. Then you start working on your elbow pits wrapping forward without pushing your elbows in front of your wrist. But then over time, part of a rhomboid push-up and getting more into shoulder muscles and less into overused neck and upper shoulder muscles is not letting your shoulders go up as you're doing rhomboid push-ups. So two things. One is, without scooting your hips back, you walk your hands back so they're farther under your chest. And two is, you can think of drawing your arm bones back to keep your shoulders away from your neck. And then from there, do some rhomboid push-ups. So your hands are farther back, or if that's not happening yet for your wrist, you're thinking of drawing your shoulders down your back by drawing your arm bones back as you go up and down. And it probably is going to take a little bit more work on the lift to get that nice wide shoulder blade spread. Feet active, breathing. Belly relaxed, lower belly. All right, come onto your knees, step your right foot forward, tuck your back toes under, push down to step up. We'll start at the back of the mat. Bring your hands behind your back, thumbs out to the side, palms face forward. So from here, you also want to check, do your arms straighten all the way, or does one elbow stay bent and one arm really want to straighten? So keep the wrists tilted forward, keep a little bend in your elbows, rotate forward from the pelvis. Great opportunity to see, are the feet straight, are the ankles hip distance apart, elbows in, and maybe lift off your back, trying to keep both elbows bent along with your wrists straight. Breathing, and this is one that I personally really need to do in the mirror because it's hard for me to tell. All right, push into your heels to come up, and let's start back at the top of the mat. I'm switching sides, you don't have to, and we're actually going to go into another one of these lifts. So palms face forward, thumbs out to the side. Remember, you're keeping a tiny bend in your elbows, especially if you have arms that tend to do this, that tend to just lock out straight. Keep that tiny little bend. Now, the third piece is, as you go forward, and especially as you fold down and lift your arms higher, the shoulders tend to want to go forward towards the neck. So you're also drawing your arm bones away from you, but trying to keep the bend in so your shoulders don't hike up by your neck, but they slide away. So rotate into half forward fold. Check your wrist elbows a little bit bent. As you go over, think of not letting your shoulders come up, but drawing them back gently, not aggressively. And then often, as you draw your shoulders down, it gets harder to keep that bend in the elbows and keep your wrists straight. Breathing. Feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. And then slowly come up, sit back into a chair pose. Watch the alignment of your knee over your ankle as you step one foot back and press up. And step the other foot back and press up, trying to go a little bit slower. And one foot steps back and press up. And the other foot steps back and press up. Fold over your legs, left foot keeps forward, right leg steps back. Now bend your front knee right over your ankle and just watch that front knee as you tap down and stretch back so the front leg stays really steady. 3 more like that. And it's amazing how people just pull back that front hip a little bit because it gives them more range of motion in the back leg. But we want the back leg to have to do a little bit more work, closer to the top of the thigh. And I probably, for a decade, did not keep my knee stacked over my ankle when I was doing things like this. All right, from there, when your leg straightens, walk halfway around to the right. Parallel your feet, back your weight up into your heels. Come on up to stand. Reach your arms in front of you, palms up. Bend into your right hip, sit back. Open, and bring it in. How about working with your hands a little bit lower as we switch sides in the legs, backing the hips up. Really straightening the one leg. Really bending the other knee, trying to sit the hips a little lower than your torso. And straighten that leg, turn your left toes out, check the edge of the foot is very straight. Now you're steering the thigh bone, not only as you bend, but also as you straighten. Press long through the back leg. Once you've mastered the thigh bone, you can work on the ankle as well, but start with the bigger muscles, the hip muscles. And then from there, let's reverse warrior and flip the wrist. Reach up, flip, reach up. What's your front leg doing? And come on over, straighten the front leg. Great time to work on neutral thigh bone, kneecap lifting up and down. Tip over into a triangle, belly button rotates a little up to the ceiling. Arms go back a little bit, not back behind you, but not in line with your shoulders, rather back that way towards your hip. Rotate and rotate a little bit higher. Rotate and rotate about shoulder height. Rotate and rotate. Bend into the knee slowly, hand or elbow without sinking into the elbow. Press long through the back leg. Now you can help steer the knee over the ankle and then watch the position of your ankle. Turn your palm to face forward. Reach over, back up. Reach over, back up. Good. Arms slightly forward, ribs down, belly button turns up. Turn the palm overhead. Reach over and up. Reach over and up. Reach over with your arms slightly forward. Rotate all the way one way and all the way the other. Are you sinking into your bottom shoulder? Use your back leg. Weight is in the heels without the toes gripping. Breathing. and pull yourself up. Parallel your feet, bend your arms into cactus arms, slightly forward of your shoulders, sit back into your squat, and then from here we'll twist the belly button to the right, to the left, ribs dropping down, hips stay steady, belly button to the right and to the left. 2 more each side. Really focus on the waist and the belly button. Good. And then straighten the legs. Rotate as you move your thigh bones back. Rotate your pelvis. You can bend your knees at any time, but keep moving your weight back. Walk back around to your left foot at the front of the mat. Bend your right knee, place it down. Slide your left leg back to meet it. Find the top of your rhomboid push-up. If it's okay on your arms, walk your hands back a little, but try to keep your knees right underneath your hips, wrapping your elbow pits forward. Also, as you walk your hands back, it might be a little harder not to lock out. So backing your shoulders up helps, backing your upper arm bones helps. Top of the rhomboid push-up. Extend your right leg back behind you, and we lift just the height of the hip. Tap down, lift. Take just the leg across the body. Tap and lift. Take the leg across out to the side. Tap and lift. Bring the leg back to center. Put the knee down. Top of the rhomboid push-up. Elbow pits wrap. Maybe hands are back a little. Stretch the opposite leg back. Lift and tap. Lift. Take the leg across behind a little bit and tap. Lift, take the leg out to the side a little bit, tap, lift, back to center, check in. What are you doing with your ribs, your elbow pits, arms backing up? Lower the knee down, stand up on your knees, step your left foot forward, tuck your right toes under, push down to step up. All right, from the top of the mat, we're going to grab whatever it is you're going to use for a double calf stretch. And you're going to put the balls of your feet up, your heels down on the floor, outer edges of feet straight, maybe rotating your thigh bones into neutral before you hinge forward, making sure you can lift your kneecaps up and down. Relaxing your lower belly, backing your hips up, breathing. Relaxing any clenching. Oh, and sorry I didn't mention that you might want a chair to do this with, but of course you can always put your hands on your thighs. Not so good if you have a lot of lower back issues. You want to put a little more weight on a chair or a wall. And then step back off of your roll and just with ease fold all the way down. And it's okay to bend the knees. You can straighten the legs. Right now it just feels good for me to bend my knees. But if you want to keep your legs straight and your spine feels good. And then you're going to start to walk your feet a tiny bit wider and sit down into a squat. And at some point you might have to just crawl yourself down. You might be able to come all the way down with ease, backing your hips up until eventually your buttocks hits the floor, your feet come down, grab something to sit on. And then from here, bringing the soles of your feet together, your knees open to the sides, pelvis tilts as upright as you can bring it on the floor. If you know your hips still sink back a lot, lifting yourself up higher onto a chair or a footstool, relax your ribs down. And then from here, we'll just drop our chin down to our chest. And with our feeling like the front of our throat is lifting up slightly, we'll roll our chin a little side to side. Relax your shoulders. And for today, do a very small roll side to side. So it's just like you're going the width of your breastbone. All right, bring your head back up, stretch your legs into a wide V shape, flexing your ankles. And then tilting your pelvis as upright as you can, ribs relax down, maybe one hand to your ribs or one hand to your breastbone, feeling that it's in vertical. And then we'll do some head ramping here. Such an important exercise for breathing, for sinuses, for brain fog, for headaches, for being able to swallow well, digestion, which, believe it or not, is a big issue as people get older. If you're not swallowing well, also it can create things like acid reflux. Alignment matters. Think about it. If your head's forward, like every time when you go to eat, like me, when you bring the spoon or the fork to your mouth, you kind of go forward with your head, you're moving your tubes in a way that they don't naturally flow. Whereas when your ear's back over your shoulders, if you bring your food all the way to you and chew, it's much easier for your food to travel down. And it's subtle, but if all the time your body has that little bit of extra stress when it comes to swallowing and eating, like I'm pretty much a great example of that, it's going to create issues over time. But digestion issues will get a lot better with alignment. Alignment of your pelvis, alignment of your rib cage, alignment of your head and your neck. Really a function of all of your organs. So we often talk about the muscular side of everything. Cross your right ankle in front of your left knee, in front of your left ankle. And then from here, you're nice and slowly going to drop, sitting up tall, ribs relax down, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Put your left hand on the floor by your side. If this isn't happening, how about a block? And then with your ear dropping over, how about just scooting the block a little bit farther away and sliding it in. And slide away and slide in. You could do any height. Slide away in the air, slide in, slide away, slide in. Bring your head up nice and slowly. Let's switch the crossing of our legs. Pelvis upright, ribs relax down, hand by the side, left ear to left shoulder. And at first you can just stay here, chin backs up, ribs relax down. You can just reach your hand out a little bit. You can have your hand on the floor, but if that requires you, especially if you're sitting up on something, if you reach your hand down, you're gonna have to lean over. So if you're not sitting on something, the hand on the floor might work well. But if you don't have an extra block, then you're just sliding away, sliding in. Oh, that works just perfect without a block too. Sliding away, sliding in, sliding away, sliding in, sliding away, sliding in. Good. Bring your head up, extend your legs long, flex your ankles. Notice, do your ankles tend to twist? Untwist them, rotate your pelvis forward. Maybe your head drops all the way down. So a lot of times when it comes to alignment, we talk about, I got some muscle stuff going on in my left leg here. It's shaking. So move my hips a little bit. A lot of times when we talk about alignment, the first focus is like muscles used equally around the joints, which is so important. It's important for bone density. It's important for your muscular strength and stability and your range of motion, which is important for circulation. But aligning our body also and your core can't really be aligned until you get your feet and your knees and your hips in better alignment. But that plays a huge part for your organs too. A huge part. Because think about it, all the slouching pelvises at restaurants and people dropping down, your body cannot digest easily that way. And your body can also not digest easily if your ribs are lifted and your ribs are thrusting forward. That is a huge issue when it comes to like acid reflux and stuff. And people often drop their ribs down a little bit, but they don't realize how far they need to go down to really be in neutral, because then their shoulders come forward, and that's something that they have to work on. But it plays a huge part in your organ health too. So it's Amazing, amazing work. I'm so thankful I came across it. I'm so thankful I can share it with you. Come on out of your forward folds. Come all the way down onto your back. You are ready for your final pose Savasana. Please get comfortable. You can put a blanket under your head. You can put a rolled up blanket under your knees. Whatever you need to feel really good in your body. Lay back. Become present with your body. Become present with your breath. Stay present with your body, with your breath. Go through today in love. Be the first to smile and look everyone in the eye. Be gracious in your movements and show all that yes, you do care. Be patient in your response, for it will allow a caring reception. Save no kindness for tomorrow. It may never come. Use it all today for anyone and everyone. The thought and care you give will find you also. Show your true desire for life unharmed, and you will provide confidence to all who seek it too. This is our day. Do your part, and we will all know peace. If you're ready to move, feel free to reach your arms or hug your knees in, or a little wiggle or movement of your toes and fingers. If you want to stay in Savasana for longer, please do. But after you take a few moments of movement, roll over onto one side and tune into your breath. Recall that purpose, that seed you planted for yourself. And then, of course, you can always just stay on your side since you're home. But if you'd like to, press yourself up, sit any way you'd like to. Feel free to mix it up. Bringing our hands together at heart center. Our health is our wealth. In gratitude for this day, namaste.